Hello and welcome to Cartographica's website, macgis.com. In this quick tour, I will introduce the new spatial join functions in Cartographica version 1.4. A spatial join is a procedure that joins attribute data from one layer feature to another based on the spatial association between the two layers. A spatial join does not impact the geometry of the layers, rather it simply joins attribute data based on a specified spatial association. To highlight how spatial join functions work in Cartographica version 1.4, I'll be using data from DCGIS. We have 4 layers on screen, 2 point layers representing robberies and metro stations, a line layer for metro lines, and a polygon layer for the boundary of DC. To begin, we'll perform a spatial join between the robbery layer and the metro stations layer. The goal of this procedure is to enhance both layers by adding attribute data from one layer to the other. To perform a spatial join, first select the layer in the layer stack that will have data joined to it. So for this example, we're going to start with the metro stations. So once that's selected, come to the Tools menu and select Spatial Join. This is the Spatial Join window. In the top left, you can see that we're going to join attribute data to the metro stations layer. So it says Spatially Join Metro Stations With in the top left. So that indicates that you need to select a layer to join with the metro stations layer. So this window on the right allows you to do that. So we can select the robberies layer. The menu in the top left here allows you to select the type of spatial association that will be used to perform the spatial join. The default spatial join function is the intersection function, which will join two layers that overlap in space. In addition to the intersection function, there are 15 additional methods for performing spatial joins that can be used to fit various situations. There are many different ways things can be spatially associated, and so all of these functions attempt to account for the many possibilities. For this example, we're going to use the within distance function right here. After selecting the within distance function, you can type in a minimum distance. This is the minimum search area that will be used to join the two layers. So in this example, we want to know how many robberies were within 200 meters of a metro station. So we can type in 200 meters in the minimum distance box. Down below, we want to uncheck the discard unmatched features box here. The reason for this is that if we have any metro stations in our metro stations layer that do not have a robbery within 200 meters, that metro station would be removed from the data set. So we want to keep all of our metro stations in our metro stations layer, so we're going to uncheck this box. The bottom window here is called the field mapping window, and it contains the fields that are found in both data layers being joined. In the operation field in the field mapping window here, you can assign various functions to each data field. For example, many of the fields within the robbery layer are not necessary to copy to the new metro stations join layer. So for all of these robbery fields, we can click and see the various functions. For this example, we want to ignore all of the robbery fields except for the bottom field in this field mapping window. So once you have the top robbery field selected, scroll to the very bottom and select and click above the bottom field in the window. Once those are all selected, type in the letter I. This will set all of the fields to ignore. So our new output layer will have all of the data fields from the metro stations layer, and it will have this new layer called join count. The join count field will be a count of the number of robberies within the 200 meter distance to any of the metro stations. With the spatial join window set up, we can click join. You can see in the layer stack, we have a new layer called metro stations join. We can select this layer and move it above the original metro stations layer in the layer stack. Uncheck the original metro stations layer and then recheck the new metro stations join layer. Uncheck the robbery layer so we can see the metro stations join layer below. A nice feature about the join process is that the original layer styles from the original layer will be transferred over to the new join layer. If we click on the metro stations join layer and then come to the data viewer down below and scroll all the way to the right, we can see we have a new field called join count. This is a count of all of the robberies that were within 200 meters of any of the stations. So to see where the station with the highest robbery count is located, we can select it in the data viewer, and we can see that it's Columbia Heights, which is right here. So the question is, if we have a count of 60 robberies and we wanted to know more information about the robberies, how could we do that? Well, the answer is we could perform the spatial join backwards. So this time we're going to select the robbery layer in the layer stack. You can turn it on to reveal all the robberies. Then come to Tools and Spatial Join. This time we're going to join the Metro Station's join layer to the robbery layer. And you can see that we're spatially joining something to the robbery layer here at the top. Again, in this menu we can select the within distance function, and we'll again select a 200-meter distance. This time we are going to discard all of the unmatched features. The result of this will be a new robbery layer that only contains robberies that are within 200 meters to a metro station. In the field mapping window on the right, we can keep all of the data fields from the robbery layer, and we can remove not all but most of the data fields from the metro stations layer. The fields we want to keep are the name, the line, and the address fields. This is the name of the metro station. This is the line that the metro station is on, so for example the green line or the blue line. And then this is the address of the metro station. So we'll keep those three data fields and ignore the rest. So we can set these to ignore. And then once that is set up, we can click Join. You can see in the layer stack there's a new layer called Robbery Join. We can select this layer and move it to the top of the layer stack, uncheck the original robbery layer, and check the new Robbery Join layer. Now you can see that the robbery layer has been reduced to only those robberies within 200 meters of a metro station. Also, you can see that the number of stations that had no robberies nearby. These are layers that would have been removed from the metro stations layer had we not unchecked that discard unmatched features box. So something interesting we can look at now is we can click on the metro stations join layer. We can organize the name field in alphabetical order by clicking on the top of the column. And we can see that there is a station called Anacostia. And we can look at the join count for that field, or for that station. We can see the count here, 14. So now what we can do with the Robbery Join field is go to it, click on it in the layer stack, scroll to all the way to the right, and we can find the robberies that were in the Anacostia train station, or within 200 meters of the Anacostia train station. And then we can come all the way over to the left, here to the method column, and we can see what types of robberies are being committed and how they're being performed. That's Spatial Join in Cartographica version 1.4. Thank you for listening.